Okay, let's do this. Hi, I'm James. I made the movie Still Film, which you saw tonight. Thank you for checking it out. Thank you for coming out, spending your Thursday night. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry I couldn't make it. I had some things to take care of, unexpected things. I don't want to go into the details, but it's a bummer I couldn't fly out. I was totally planning to. So please accept my apologies. And thank you to Sam at Now Instant. Thank you to Jordan and everybody else, the short filmmakers who are screening their works this weekend. Andrew Norman Wilson, um, everybody who put this thing together. Um, yeah. Well, I'm at your disposal for a minute now to answer some questions. I'll do my best. I know you listened to me talk for about 72 minutes, so I'll try to keep it short. So I guess to begin, I was sent a few questions ahead of time. The first being, how did the still film project originate, and what came first, the deposition concept or the idea to make a film entirely of publicity slides? Um, the deposition and the publicity slides kind of mutually exclusive for a while at least. I don't think one came first necessarily or after. They were their own tracks. I was collecting publicity slides as a fetish or something. Just the thing I was doing. Um, and all the while, I'd been interested for many years in uh, making a movie out of a deposition. Um, uh, the structure of a deposition always struck me as an inherently theatrical. And I suppose this connects to a movie I made in 2012 called Public Hearing. Some of you may know about it, which is a reenactment of a public hearing transcript, a real transcript about a Walmart expansion. And so, kind of pulling out the theatricality and the cinematics sort of latent in this real life document. And I've always felt that a deposition really lends itself, the constraints of a deposition and the needs of a deposition. Not deposition is not actually being trials, but being precursors to trials. They're almost like one act plays or something. And so this was a desire of mine to make a, a deposition, to turn a deposition into a movie. Of course, it ended up that I entirely scripted the deposition. In this case, as opposed to using a found deposition. But I did reference a lot of found depositions actually. And I was collecting depositions for many years, PDFs, and whenever I'd stumble across something on the internet that struck me as interesting. Um, and yeah, and so these two tracks, the two collecting tracks came together at a certain point. And I think that the glue, instead of one coming ahead of the other, the glue was more this overarching desire to or I don't even know if desire is the right word, like uh, challenge, personal challenge to make a movie that had a multiplicity of voices, to see if I could be everybody and also one at the same time. I kind of attempted that a bit in a previous film movie called This Action Lies, where I have three kind of grammatical points of view, I guess, that are going on during this monologue. But in this case, I wanted to actually like literalize it, see if I could be basically like four different characters at once. Um, and yeah, so that is probably like the original idea. How and where did you find the photos? What was the research process like? All roads lead to eBay, simply put. Um, I think I pretty much got every slide, these 35 millimeter slides, off eBay over the course of 3.5 years. I was collecting them off eBay. Um, and therefore, the research process in a lot of ways is just what's available, what's for sale, not like I know this movie exists and therefore there must be a slide. And I'm going to hunt this slide down like a journalist or investigative reporter, but more like, did somebody put it up for sale? Did somebody want to make like 20, 30, $50 or whatever? And then I can suddenly have this object, this piece of a movie, as my own. And so in that sense, it's not rigorous, or rather the obsession is rigorous, I guess, but the I don't know, sort of academic kind of rigor is not what I was after. It's more of like an intuitive research process. Um, is something for sale? If it is, can I buy it? If I get it, what does it mean to me? What does it remind me of? What memory does it conjure? Um, and then going from there, and then writing actually in response to what I was able to actually purchase. And so there's this kind of sort of open marketplace logic to everything, which I really like, because I'm not a journalist, and I guess I'm recently an academic, but not really. I am after a kind of more uh, subconscious logic, I suppose. You know, or so I'd like to think. And I guess this leads into the next question. How did you decide which stills to use? Was there a concept or a certain type of images you were looking for? Um, and so the answer is like yes and no. I mean, broadly speaking, the scope of the movies is 1983 to 2001, except a movie from 1982, which is this movie. Oops, that that movie, Quest for Fire, um, which came out in 1982, and I sort of consider that to be like a prehistory movie because I was born in 1983 and I turned 18 in 2001. So that span is my childhood and coming of age into becoming a legal adult, I suppose. And I knew I wanted the movies to be limited to this period um, of hyper impressionable movie watching, where there isn't much like choice in the matter, I guess. Um, but then told from the perspective of a 40-year-old, who's looking back on this period and trying to wrestle with the imprints. I feel like that's pretty like on the face of the movie, and was definitely like what I was writing around. So I wanted to choose slides that represented this era, but again, not in a comprehensive way. It's impossible to be comprehensive, and I wasn't really interested in that. More in an intuitive sense. What was available, what I recalled watching from seeing a slide for sale on eBay would incite um, a memory I forgot I even had, I guess. Um, so purposely partial and biased, fragmented, um, and personal. Can you discuss your writing processes as it relates to the constructing narratives from pop culture references and current events? Do you make notes as things occur to you, or do you have a backlog of ideas for use in future projects? Yeah. I don't just keep notes of like cool stuff, you know. It's got to be related to a project. I'm often asked about my writing process, and I don't have a great answer because I write a lot of stuff like sort of simultaneously, and some stuff goes really fast and some goes slow. This movie I wrote over 3.5 years and kept updating it, updating it, updating it. And so it itself was, I suppose, the sort of journal for the times, but I wouldn't have kept that journal if I didn't have the concept for the movie in mind, if that makes sense. Um, it's not like I'm like, oh, this is like a really funny pop culture thing I hope to use in a movie one day. Um, it's more that it stands out because it connects to what I'm already thinking about, or considering to be a movie. Mm, yeah, so a backlog of ideas. I don't know. I mean, I think just living itself is the kind of backlog. Yeah, it's you know, uh, I got a lot of movies in me, and I'd love to talk to some LA producers, which is why I'm fundamentally sad I'm not with you today. Um, partially being serious. How did you come to the structure of the film, and was the use of repetition in either the sound or image track an important element to maintain the right pacing? Yeah, so the structure, there's a lot of structures that I was dealing with. I think some are obvious and some maybe less so, and maybe you don't, it doesn't matter if they're obvious or recognizable even. Um, the most obvious and physical, these are 35 millimeter publicity slides that I collected, I scanned something like this. Let's see, actually, let me make this legible for you out there on the West Coast. Right? Okay. So something like that. Um, what was my point? Okay, so these are physical slides, and there was obviously an association with slides and like home vacation trip, sitting around the carousel, somebody projecting slides, family archives. Um, so I wanted the number of slides, the number of slides you actually see in the movie are 140 slides, and that's the maximum capacity of a Kodak slide carousel. I wanted to keep it limited to that number, to reference that capacity, and also kind of just create a certain like memory that happens within the movie. Um, and so, the carousels are also limited in terms of which way they go. They go either forward or backwards. And so there's a lot of like moving forward, rewinding and exceeding where we started, then moving forward again and exceeding where we ended, rewinding, rearranging, and then restarting in chronological order. So that's like the sort of physical order of the movie. And then the, I don't know, intellectual order, I guess, is the suggested route, structure of a deposition. Um, and some people, there's different theories on how a lawyer should go about conducting a good deposition, which is essentially a fact-finding mission, as you probably realized or learned if you didn't know already, from watching the movie tonight. Um, and one suggestion is actually the shape of a funnel. So starting from wide to more specific, general to more specific. And there's actually stages that people list. This author in this book I used as a bit of a guide. Deposition Rules, fourth edition. Follow up is one stage. Two is exhaust, which I thought was interesting that you would actually exhaust your participants at the second and early stage. Then you fill in. Three, four, you recap, and then five, you lead and test theories. And the idea basically for a lawyer is to get someone to admit a witness to admit something, contradict themselves, admit something they wouldn't have admitted otherwise, and just through a process of attrition, wear them down, you know, and get useful material that can be then introduced as evidence as needed. Um, and it's not a trial. A deposition is not a trial. I think it's an important distinction. It seems like one, but it's not a trial. There's no judge. So those are the structures I was thinking about and trying to replicate in ways. Still film captures the early 2020s in humorous and occasionally unflattering fashion. Do you think of your films as time capsules? I do think of my films as time capsules. I think of every movie as a time capsule. Um, I think movies that deny their time capsule nature are still time capsules, and they're just time capsules in a way that's sort of beyond the intent, I suppose, of the maker. To me, the value of making movies is that movies are time, and so they can be time capsules. And to resist this is in the name of some sort of like universality or I don't know, just like sort of epic statement or something like that. It seems quite like foolish and annoying. uh, to me, there's nothing worse than the idea of like laboring on a movie, or the threat, I should say, of laboring on a movie for like 25 years, um, in order to try to make it precisely the way that you conceived of it 25 years ago. Um, I really like being open to the change and responsiveness, and I wish that movies weren't so sort of conventionally expensive to make, so they could be much more responsive to the moment. Um, that's a motivation of mine, frankly, is to make movies fast, and not fast just because like I'm impatient. I probably am impatient, um, but to exploit that time capsule, uh, sort of, I don't know, potential, I guess, um, strength. That seems to me to be really the point of making movies. Okay, guess we're done here. That's the last question. Thank you.